Hello there, it's Jay here from Jay's Vintage Junk. If you watched my previous video, you'll probably seen this thing behind me. What we've got here, this is, well, it was my mate Andy's old retro gaming rig. It's an old IBM Thinkcentre. I've shown it on the channel before when he gave it me a while back. And if you watched my previous video, you saw me use it actually to test those 10 hard drives. And to be honest, it didn't do a bad job of it. It did test them alright. But I basically just stripped the computer down to a very basic, I pulled all the cards out of it, even pulled the hard drive. And I was just using the main motherboard in it just to fire them hard drives up. Thing is, I don't really need a retro gaming rig down here in the workshop. I've got a retro gaming rig upstairs. But what I do need down here is another bridge PC. I've got a bridge PC up in my office, and it's very, very useful. I use it mainly for some of the systems that I have up there, but I really wanted one down here. So what I thought we'd do is we'd take this old thing and basically completely repurpose it and turn this into my downstairs bridge PC. So basically, if you're not familiar with what a bridge PC is basically it's a computer which is kind of between the ages. It's of a use to be able to get software from the modern age, from the internet and things like that, and it's a bridge between a modern computer that you can get something onto a USB stick and say like an IBM 5150 or an old XT, an old 286, 386, something you need floppy disks for. Or even, perhaps something like an 8-bit micro, because depending on how you have this set up, you can even make discs for various systems on them. They are a useful thing to have if you're into working and playing with retro gaming stuff and retro computers in general. At the moment, this, like I said, Andy used it as a retro gaming rig. It's got an AMD CPU. I'm not sure what it is. It's an Athlon of some description. It's not the original board that was originally in this computer. This computer, believe it or not, actually come off one of Andy's mate's scrap trucks. It's probably the reason it's in the state it's in, to be honest. This thing has been neglected and thrown away previous to even Andy owning it. He put a motherboard, it's actually a Lenovo board in it to use it for his purposes. I'm probably actually going to change the main board in this. I've got an idea what I want to put in this, which will be more useful for what I actually want to use this system for. But before I can do that, we need to sort this computer out, because it is in a horrible, horrible state. Inside it basically needs completely cleaning. Also, I don't want to ditch what's actually in this computer at the moment, as in what Andy had set up as his gaming rig, because it's really good. The motherboard and the hard drive, and like this Sound Blaster Live, although I might actually put a Sound Blaster Live in this. I have got a couple of them. And the graphics card and everything that he had working, it is a really, really nice retro gaming system. I have another case, so basically everything that comes out of this is going to be going into another case and be built up into another system, which might stick in my bedroom or something actually, because it's got all sorts of cool stuff on it. But there is an issue with the motherboard in here that has got at least one blown cap on it. So what we're going to do in this video, I think, is we're going to get this thing torn down. We'll have a look at sorting this case out so we can actually make the case usable for what I want, and we'll also have a look at seeing what we can do with the motherboard that's currently in here. See if we can swap that cap out, see if there's any more bad caps on it, and then I'm going to just put that away in a static bag for now. But I do have a case that the motherboard, the hard drive out of this are going to go into, and like I said, probably if not the Sound Blaster Live out of here, but a Sound Blaster, it probably will be the one out of here, because I've got a better one to go in here, and either the graphics card out of here if I can sort it out because it has got issues, or another comparable early high-end kind of graphics card that I can get to work with it. Anyway, I will get the camera reset, we'll get all the bench cleared off, and we can have a look at tearing this thing down, and we'll take it from there. So back in a second. Right, okay, there we go. Basically I've got everything disconnected and we've got the Thinkcentre here, pretty much as we had it with the side removed. One thing I really like about this, and why I want to use this case from my bridge PC, is a simple fact. We don't need it's screwless entry basically, so the side clips on, you just press that button there and the side will release. So it does make it really handy. If I've just got a hard drive and I just want to quickly try it, it's dead easy to connect it up to this thing. Excuse me. Right, first thing, so I suppose what we've really got to do is get this thing torn down, because it's absolutely filthy dirty and it's got loads of corrosion inside here, which I really want to tackle before we actually, like I said, start building this thing back up. Unfortunately, like I said, it is fairly screwless, the design of this. I think there's some screws in the power supply there, but the front, I don't know if that should have screws in it or not. In fact, I think there's a couple of clips broke off that, so we're going to have a look at that, seeing how we can secure that back on properly. I've got an idea actually. I'll take that off there. Right, now I haven't actually stripped one of these down before. I think Thinkcentre quite like this, but usually with IBM stuff, like I said, it's really quite nice. So spin it around. Right, first thing let's take out is this hard drive, because I don't think we're going to be using that well, we're not going to be using that in the new build. This is going to be going into the system that I'm taking the motherboard out of this from, and as you can see, we do have a SATA hard drive in this. So let's disconnect that and take the SATA cable out. What screws? Ah, right, okay, we've got star bits or flat bits, so it's very IBM. Okay, one more. Let's get that forwards. I don't want the hard drive to drop or anything. I do want the data that's on here because it is set up nicely. Let's take that out. So there's our hard drive. That's a Samsung 250 gig. So a little bit big for what we're doing. This system will not have a hard drive quite that size in it when I've finished with it, although it won't be tiny. Right, so we've got that out. Let's see what else we can easily take out of this thing. I'm going to have to get the CD drive out again. That's dead simple on these, just press and pull. Oh. Disconnect that. That should pull out now. There we go. I doubt that's original to the system either, but we've got an LG DVD writer there. I don't know if that's going to stay in this or it might do. All I really need in this is a CD writer. I don't really need a DVD writer. That might go in the rig that this motherboard and hard drive go into. If I've got a DVD writer with a black front that can go in this. So I'll put that out to one side for now. That will, if I've got anything I can replace it with, I'll probably be putting a 5 1/4 inch floppy in here as well. So I will only be putting one, a 5 1/4 inch floppy drive and a CD drive in. Or a CD writer anyway. Right, let's get these floppy drives out. Now, someone has used an old standoff there instead of a screw. Andy, I'm pointing at you, mate. Let's get that out. So at the moment this is currently set up with two 3 1/2 inch floppies, although only one of them was actually connected up, which is this top one here, so I don't know whether that bottom one there actually works. But I'll just be fitting one 3.5 inch floppy in the system, and I'll probably put in some other ports in that spot there. Let's get that floppy out. That comes out. Get a nice Panasonic one there. Hopefully that will work. Right, and what else have we got? Let's get some of this cabling out of the way. There's some reasonable cable management in this with clips and what have you to actually keep your cables out of harm's way. Right, let's get all this ID stuff out of the way. Some rather hacked together wiring here to get it to work with that motherboard, so we'll probably have to address this, though it shouldn't be too hard to figure all that out and get it working right. Right, let's get this power supply out of the way. In fact, I should really have some anti-static on if I'm going to start handling the motherboard, so I'll do that now. And we can have a really good assess of the motherboard as well and have a look at it. Ooh. Right, there we go. That's the power connector off the motherboard. Let's see if we can get this power supply out, and then we can have a look at that. Okay, I think this is fitted with yeah. They're strange. They're a bit like what Compact uses, and you can take them out either with a flat blade screwdriver or a star driver. You can see now the flat blade screwdriver to hand. That's what I'm using. Okay. Last one. Oops. Right. I should be able to get this everything wrapped up in my anti-static lead there. Right, we should be able to get this power supply out now. It's a really nice compact power supply, but it has got quite a lot of dust in there I can spot, so we may have to do a bit of cleaning on that. But that is a really nice compact sized power supply. AC Bell, I don't know who that is, obviously made in China. Can't actually see how much power it is either. I can see what we've got on all the lines there, but I can't see what the maximum power consumption on it is. It's usually marked 230 watts, so it's a bit of a tiddler really if you compare with modern power supplies, but it should be enough for what we're doing. Right, so all we've really got to do now is get that main board out of there. Then we've got a little bit more stripping on the case. Let's get that down. Hopefully you can see. In fact, let me get you a bit more over the top so you can see a bit more what's going on. Ooh, that's professional of me, isn't it? Just shift the tripod around. There we go, that's better, isn't it? You can actually see what's going on down there now. Right, now what we need to do is look at getting this main board out of here. And again, it looks like these are almost like the original IBM style screws, because we need to use a flat blade to get them out. Those are weird. They're kind of either a Phillips or a flat blade with like a strange. They do have a hexagon head on them, so you could use a hex driver to get them out as well. I just accidentally grabbed a Phillips screwdriver then, and that takes them out nice and easy. Right, let's get that out. How many more are there? I don't think there's as many screws being put in the board as there is actually holes to hold it in. That just makes it easier for us to get out. And when we put the new motherboard in here, we can use as many as we want. Right. There we go, that's free. So we can get that. There we go. Right, okay, let's pull this board out. Right, there we go. So this is currently what we've got in the system. Get the case out of the way for a second and we can have a quick look down here. So we have got is that a LV800E? Does that really use DDR4 RAM? DDR 4.00? I wouldn't have expected that. There can't be DDR4 RAM in this. Can't make out. I'm not really that well up on modern RAMs, but it says DDR4 on the board, which I think is really unusual for. I don't think the thing's that modern. You know, it's. In fact, let's take this off and let's see what CPU we've actually got in here. We can easily. I don't want to. There we go. What have we got? We've got an AMD Sempron. So I mean that's like not this gen or anything, it's a few gens old, isn't it? But and there's a little bit too much thermal paste on there, but never mind. Let's put that heatsink back on there for now. Like I said, this is going to get a new lease of life in a new case, but before that happens, put that back on. I will redo all the thermal paste on that, clean it all off and redo it again properly before this goes back in a new case. But I don't know if you can make it down there. We do have a cap which has blown its top, and it is a, if I can make it out, it's a 1800 UF at 16 volts. We've got actually a number of them on here. All the rest are absolutely fine. It's just that one there seems to have blown its top. So before this board goes back in, we will probably swap that cap out. Let me put this board out of harm's way for the moment, and we can turn our attention to finishing off the case. So let me just put this out of harm's way. Right. Let's take attention to the case. Now, how hard is it going to be to get this side and the top of the case off? That's the question. Because unlike the other side, this doesn't have like a pull off, and it looks like this is all one piece, as in the top and the side is, you can't see what I'm looking at there, can you? Let me get you up a little bit. There we go. See, the top and the side is all one piece, but it does look like it actually removes. And to have a look at this corrosion on here, I think we really do need to get it separated right down, basically. So let's have a, it's starting to come off, that. Just tilt it down. See where I'm missing. You see it's come apart there, so it is coming off. I'm obviously missing something yet. I have to get a little prize there maybe. Nope. But there's something really obvious which I am just not spotting at this moment. Why won't that side come off? Just like there's some tabs up there that have been bent as well, which possibly isn't helping. Tell you what folks, rather than just watch me struggle, oh, what's that there? Hang on, let me have a look on the top. Is there a screw underneath there or something? Because that looks like it might lift off. Oops. I've just... That's not too bad. Let me have a look there, see if that'll pop out. Nope, I'm just going to muss the case up there. I do want this thing to look reasonably nice, that's why I'm going to all the trouble. Oh, it just pushes through like that. Ah, so if I do... Is that how it's locked in place then? And has that been glued in place? Ah, there we go, that's popped out. I think that's what was holding it. There we go. See, it's easy when you know how. Alright, that's lifted up. We're nearly off. Okay, now lift up. I can see that's free there. Yeah, just bear with us a second chaps, I'll be right back as soon as I've finangled this top off. Right, okay, finally it came off. That was a good 10 minutes of struggling and bending, but one of the actual tabs on this side here was actually bent in, and that's why it wasn't coming off. Okay, I think all we've got left to remove now really is this bit of plastic at the front here, which I think should just pop out. Don't think there's any screws holding it. I think it literally is just clipped in place, this, like so many other things. One nice thing with this not being that old, you know, being only early 2000s, the plastic hasn't got horrendously brittle on it yet, so it do at least stand some chance of unclipping these without all the tags breaking off. That one's undone. That one's undone. And the first one I put on is done back up, but there we go, that's that piece off there. So again, we can clean all that up. In fact, the front isn't looking bad at all. We can actually just pop, yeah, we can just pop those straight out. And the panel with the LEDs in it. So that's all the wiring out of it. We will have to do a little bit of remedial work on some of that, but it doesn't look bad. And this is what we need to really concentrate on. If you look down here, you can see the amount of corrosion that's actually in this case. And this is why, like I said, I wasn't just going to use it straight as is for this project. It really is quite horrifically corroded in there. So we might as well get to it. I will get some cleaning stuff, I'll get some sandpapers and what have you, and we'll start sorting this out. So I'll say back in a sec. Right, okay, well, I've just actually taken the plastics that we took off, and I've just left them to soak in the kitchen sink in some warm soapy water with a little bit of washing up detergent in there, just see if I can loosen some of that muck and get them nice and clean. And while that's doing, I thought we'd attack the worst of this corrosion here, and I think it's that bad. I think really, let's get that, you can tell how bad it is. That blanking plate has no screws in it, and it's basically welded itself in place. Let's see if we can break that free. Dear me, that's literally how bad the corrosion seems to have got on this. Let's see if we can push it away. If you look on the back here, we've even got corrosion up here. We've got all corrosion down here. Let's see if I can get this blanking plate out. I might have to just see if I can knock it. There, got it. Wow. That was corroded. That's why it weren't coming out. I mean, that's not so much of a problem. We can replace that if we have to. But that little grounding strip's actually fine, because that's like a stainless steel, so that won't rust. But if we look inside here, we've got a lot of corrosion round here. We're going to have to sort it out, really. And like I said, it's so severe. I've got some 60 grit sandpaper here, and I'm literally going to go at it. And just sand at it like that until we can get rid. In fact, it is actually coming off fairly well. If you look when I clean off there where I've got the actual corrosion off, it's taken all the plating off, but we can deal with that after. It is getting all the rust and the corrosion back off. What's going to be tricky though is actually doing it on the sides here where we've got it on the card bay there. It's just going to be a case of getting in and scraping it off like that. This is the kind of thing you're really going to have to deal with. If you're into the older systems and you've suffered battery leakage, this is exactly the same kind of issue you're going to find and you're going to have to deal with. So, although this is a much newer system, it probably, to be honest, doesn't warrant this kind of work. There are quite a few of these systems about still, but I've got it. I like the case. It's going to do for what I want it to do. So why not spend a little bit of effort, make it right, and it's going to be nicer for me to actually use if it's not full of rust and looking horrible inside. So what I'll do, I will carry on doing this, and I will come back to you when I've made a little bit of progress, and we can have a look what I'm doing, what I've actually got. So back in a sec. Right, okay, we're back, and as you can see, we've had some success with that. We've managed to get most of the corrosion off, but it does still show in some places. And that's with sandpaper. It's such an awkward shape to actually get in, and really the only way to get this absolutely perfect, I think, would be to do some form of sandblasting on it and literally blast this clean. Obviously you wouldn't use sand, it'd be like a walnut shell or something like that would probably be strong enough to blast this. I do have the equipment, I don't have the media to do it, and I don't really fancy setting all that up just to clean this up. So what I've done, so I went in and I've got the majority of it off. I even went in with some little wire brushes like that to get into some of the nooks and crannies. So though there's a discoloration here, there is no actual rust left. It's just a little bit of discoloration. So I thought what we'd do, and this is a trick I've used on a few systems that have had corrosion like this in the past. I've got some silver spray paint here. I'll give this a bit of a shake up. And I've got some cheapy your kiddies artists paintbrushes, the cheap things. I'll get one of them. That really is a nasty one. Let's just get that a bit better. Some of these are better than others, and these were cheapy ones. Well, they were £1.50 for a set. Oh, it's fluffed up now. It's okay that now. Yeah, that'll work. In fact, that'll work quite nicely. Yeah, that'll work nicely. Right, we'll take some of this. And we're not going to spray it on like that. What I'm going to do is just take a little bit. I just sprayed it into the lid of the container. I'll get a little bit on the brush, like that. And we're just going to use that to basically disguise the worst of the corrosion, and it'll protect it as well and stop. You know, this is not really going to get any moisture on it now, because this is going to live in my nice warm workshop down here. But if it was to say go out somewhere a little bit with a little bit of moisture, this will just stop the corrosion spreading and getting worse. And we're not going to need very much for this, because there are only a few places like on there. We can make it look a lot better quite easily. And though it's not an exact match, it's close enough that if someone used to pull the back of the case off, it's not going to scream rusty old computer at them. It will look reasonably, I think I'll just need a little bit more of that. Again, we'll just spray a little bit into the lid. Paint that on there. Paint those in. Well, sorry about that, chaps. I had yet another camera issue. A camera battery died yet again. But you didn't miss much. You just missed me just touching a few last little bit in there. But it might not be perfect. I think you'll agree that looks significantly better than a load of rust and corrosion on the case. Like I said, it will never look absolutely perfect, but like I said, at least we haven't got, I'll show you on the back as well, we haven't got a load of rust and, oh, actually I have just missed a little bit there, damn. Let me just paint that in before I forget. Have we got any left in here? We might just have enough on the brush there. There we go. That's better. Oh, I'll just spray a little bit up. There's a couple of bits there I've just missed. So let's get them quickly. Just paint along there. That's it, if nothing else, it just protects the metal, stops that corrosion getting any worse at all. There we go. That looks better, doesn't it? That doesn't look bad at all there. So obviously you can see where it's been done, but we don't want to, we're not really trying to hide it completely. All we're trying to do is hide the fact that it was really badly corroded in there at one point. So right, what I will do is I will let that dry off now. I will go and get the bits out of the sink and dry them off, and we'll come back and we'll see about putting these bits back together and see what it looks like. So back in a sec. Right, okay, that is all the plastic bits back out of the sink and looking at least a little bit cleaner than they did, and the paint that we've done in there is now dry. So it's time to put this case back together. I'm not going to put a motherboard in it or anything at this point. Not until we've decided exactly which board is going in here, and we'll come to that after we put this case back together. But right, so let's have a look at this. Most of this should just snap together, and again I'm not going to put any of the electrical bits back in because I want to look at them before they go back back in the case, in case we need to change any connectors. With this being IBM and slightly proprietary like all IBM stuff, we may have to do some hackery. Right, okay, that's the front bit on there. Now we need to put the main part of the case on. Where have I put that? There it is. With these I've just given a quick wipe over with some kitchen cleaner, basically, just to get any of the really nasty marks off. They do have marks on them which I don't think are going to come off, but there is nothing nasty and, you know, horrible on there anymore like there was. So that's what I really wanted to achieve. Look at that! That dropped straight on there and I had a right fiddle getting it off. Let's make sure we get that all lined up and in the right place. Because that there has to kind of snap on there, doesn't it? Ah, look at that. Went straight on that time. Lovely. And that there, amazingly, is how you lock that piece of metal in place. It's just with that pushed in there like that, which looks like one of the release buttons. Yep, I'm quite happy with that. That's all in where it should go. We'll put the front on. But we won't even bother putting the floppy drive in at this moment. We'll just put the front on, which I am going to have to do some again some remedial work, because the tabs that are meant to hold this on are broken off. So what I'm thinking of doing, at one point it had actually been glued on there, which is not ideal. What I'm thinking I might do is perhaps put a couple of screws through there into the metalwork underneath to hold it in place, or even I was wondering whether I could perhaps put some Velcro or something like that and have it so it just Velcros on. I don't think that would be too much of a ridiculous idea. Right, where's the other panel? That should go and clip in place. And it does. Lovely. So basically we have our bare case which we're going to use for the build. I know it doesn't look absolutely perfect, but it doesn't look terrible now. We've got rid of all the worst of the gross and the ick and everything inside it. We've given the inside a really good clean, and most and all, when you look at the back of it, it doesn't have all that rust and corrosion that we could see on the back, which was making it look really a little bit, you know, like a scrap junk PC rather than something you want in your workshop. And even more so when I'm actually using this thing, and say I want to, you know, put a card in there to test, or you know, connect a hard drive up to it or something, and we remove the side, it doesn't look terrible inside anymore. Okay, like you can see where I've done the repair work, and the plating is obviously gone and we've painted over it, but it doesn't look terrible. It actually looks fairly reasonable. Right, I'll get the case out of the way and I will show you what I am planning to put in here. So back in a sec. Right, okay, now in this box is what I am planning to actually put in that computer. Now, the fact that I've got this cooler on top possibly gives it away what I've actually got in here, but believe it or not, what we have in here is basically, I do say basically because something has happened to it and it is my fault, but basically what we've got in here is a new old stock Asus. This is the P4S800 MX. One reason why I want to use this motherboard was actually designed to run Windows 98, and that's really what I want to use on this bridge PC. So it's not as though we're using newer hardware with an older operating system. We've got a board here which will do everything I want it to do. It's relatively modern, but it was actually designed to run Windows 98, which means we can have like that DOS Windows thing going on. So what we've got the motherboard. Basically what happened is I got these years, I had two of these. One which had actually been in service, I think it had been in a server, and it had suffered, all the capacitors were blown on it, and this one which had never been used, and even got a Celeron. This has been used I think, but we have a Celeron 2.4 gig CPU there, which again should be absolutely ideal for what we want to do with this system. We don't need like a mega powerhouse of a CPU for this. I'll get the board out. Let's get some anti-static on, and we can have a quick look at the board. Well, this is literally brand new old stock. As you can see, we've got the CD, we've even got the Asus, powered by Asus sticker in there. We've got the manual for the CPU. We've got the backplane there. And we have the main board. Now, I have never powered this board up. So these were given to me many years ago. Unfortunately, at some point, and I can't remember when I've done it, I have actually pinched the, if you look there, I have actually pinched the CRC32 battery holder off it. I obviously needed one for a project at some time, and at one point these old Pentium 4 class motherboards were literally, no one wanted them. They were just going for e-waste. So I probably needed a CRC32 holder, and I grabbed this, and because of what it was, you know, a few years ago, I just pinched the holder off it. Fortunately, if you just bear with me 1 second, and we go into my very much scrap motherboards pile. There we go. We have another Asus P4S800 MX motherboard. This is the one that I got at the same time, and if you look, just about every single capacitor on the motherboard is actually blown. If you actually look as well, they are of a different manufacturer. These are a different manufacturer than this one. Apart from that, and I think some very slight revisions, these are basically the same motherboard. Not that that matters. What matters is I haven't pinched the CRC32 holder off this one, so we can pinch that off there, stick it on there with a new battery on it, and hopefully we've got a really good candidate of a main board to actually use for this project. So yeah, that's basically what we're going to be doing in the next instalment on this is seeing if we can get this main board working. We will also replace the capacitor that's failed on that one and get that put away, so that can go in my stash ready to find a new case with its hard drive. And like I said, I'm going to build that up into another retro gaming rig complete with the hard drive and probably the Sound Blaster Live and the video card that was used with this, because it worked as a really good retro gaming rig. I just want that IBM case for on my desk for my bridge PC basically. So we will have a look at fixing that, making that good, and we will have a look at getting this board actually up and running, because we have a CPU for it there. Had a cooler kicking around which should fit it, so all that's good. We just need to sort out that, and hopefully this board should actually work. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now. We'll call this part 1 of the project. Hopefully it's not going to be a massively long project or anything, so I want to get that system up and running, and then we can carry on with the hard disk archaeology, because we still need to go through what's on all those hard drives. But I think this motherboard is probably going to be better off for that kind of thing than that AMD board that I was currently using. Like I say, I'm going to leave it there for now. I hope you enjoyed this little project, so I'll say thanks for watching and goodbye.